I'm really looking forward to, the game this Saturday. I think it's going to be a different outcome. I think if BYU keeps it close, they make the playoffs still.
I agree. The critical part's going to be is, does Alabama, in your opinion, just going right over to college football playoffs discussion as Smitty returns his first day back off 2-week vacation? Do you see Alabama losing this game, being pushed out? And does this committee realize that Ole Miss, Notre Dame, Miami all had, in essence, bye weeks, and they didn't play because they didn't earn the right to play for their conference title game? I don't want to see a team having to play for a championship be hit, Smitty, for losing that game while these other guys sit on their ass. It's a tough one because and by the way, Alabama holds the cards to me. They already beat Georgia's ass.
Right.
In Georgia. That has to hold weight if they lose this game in a tie. Even if they got beat to me by 21, I still think they get in. They should get in. Or then you're going to start seeing the integrity of the college football playoff become an absolute mockery, because why would Alabama want to play in a championship game if they get hit? So next year, are we going to avoid playing championship games? See? I don't know, Breiden.
And, when I look at the playoffs, and if I can get Bailey to pull up that playoff ranking, I think for me, when I look at it, if you look at the description of the playoffs is to get the 12 best teams into the college football playoffs, right? The first thing I'm looking at when I see this is I do not like Oklahoma at number 8. I am not a fan of Oklahoma. Do they have a good defense? Yes, but that offense is horrific. One of my buddies, he's in the military, and we were talking for a while. Good friend of mine. We've been last decade or so. He serves in the Marines, and he was telling me, he was like, man, when I was out serving, Al Qaeda, they would use John Mateer offensive film to torture inmates and stuff. And so for me, that's just one of the things that I just was like, you know what, we can't allow this in the playoffs, right? The nation, America, they don't deserve that type of torture to their eyes.
So wait, so hold on. So you're saying if Mateer was accompanied by the former LSU offensive coordinator that you called a terrorist, you saying there would have been a lot of major situations going on U.S. soil?
Oh, 100%. I think we'd be looking at World War III right now. I'd be probably getting drafted. I didn't get drafted into the NFL, so I'd probably be getting ready to get drafted into the military. So, I can't see that product on my TV anymore. You literally almost let LSU walk you down in Norman. And for those reasons, I'm out. Like, please get him out of the playoffs respectfully. Brent Venables is a great coach, but you just cannot win in the playoffs with that offense. It's horrific.
So you would bump Miami in?
No, I don't think Miami gets in. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is BYU is in regardless, right? They're 11-1. The same reason we're not going to punish Alabama for losing the playoff or the championship game this week. If they lose, I am not going to punish BYU, right? BYU did their job. Their only loss is to Texas Tech, the team that's playing in the Big 12 championship. So why would you punish teams like Alabama and BYU for playing in the conference championship, right? And then drop out or try to push in Miami. I think Miami's 2 losses with Louisville and SMU, in the time frame they did it, you don't deserve to be in. Right. Now, their defense is good. Ruben Bain, top 5 pick. Tony, he's an elite offensive playmaker. Carson Beck is streaky. I was high on him. He kind of showed his cards this year of old Georgia Carson Beck.
But lately he's good.
He came back though, yeah.
But he's found his niche. And I think the only way they get in is if the committee sees, you know what, when we compare 10-2 Miami, 10-2 Oklahoma, 10-2 Vanderbilt, 9-3 Texas, which one of those teams can we put in? And I ultimately think it's set right now. The only teams I feel like that are on the border is Oklahoma. I'm not sold on Oklahoma.
But
man.
If you got Bama in though, Breiden, how you gonna take Oklahoma out when Oklahoma beat them?
Because it's any given day, and Oklahoma didn't beat Bama off of the strength of John Mateer. They beat him off the strength of a kicker who wears tights. You know what I mean? Like there's a difference. We're talking about the 12 best teams, and I'm looking at the 12 best teams as an offense, defense, special teams. Now, Oklahoma's defense, top of the line. But Oklahoma's defense is not going to be able to keep up with an Ohio State offense. with an Indiana offense, right? Like, I just don't see it. They can't go band for band offensively with any of those teams in the playoffs. Even BYU, I don't think Oklahoma can keep up with BYU offensively. And that's kind of scary to me. I don't want to get into a playoff game where I got to see Oklahoma take on Oregon in the first round and Oregon puts up 35 points. And we got to watch Dan Lanning talk about how Baker Mayfield ain't coming through them walls, right? Or we got to – it's crazy. I don't want to see that. Like, so
Jalen Hurts ain't coming through them walls.
I think there's a fundamental push for Miami to get in because of how they travel for postseason. Yeah. And I also think it's a travesty that Notre Dame's in over them. And it's not only for the head-to-head. It's the fact that Miami's beaten 4 top 25 teams. Notre Dame's beat 0. Notre Dame has lost their only 2 real games. And Miami's one of those losses, and they're not in over them. To me, there's a huge issue right there. And you told us 5 years ago when you knew there was going to be a 12-team playoff committee, you said, you know what, start prepping for this. BYU, if you want to get in, you better get into a conference.
Yep.
And they did. But guess who didn't? Notre Dame. And Notre Dame continues to be rewarded for not being in a conference, yet BYU may be out after getting in a conference. Because BYU would be in right now not playing in a conference title game and sitting there pretty like Notre Dame, Smitty.
Yeah. Nah,
see what I'm saying? It makes no sense. This shit's so fucked up to me. Like, Miami should be in over Notre Dame is all I'm saying. You could argue that Miami don't belong, then Notre Dame don't belong. Because
part of that, Miami's 2 losses look bad in comparison to Notre Dame's 2 losses.
They
but Notre Dame lost week 1 of the season to 3 points Miami, and I don't hold a week 1 loss over a team. It's week 1 of the college football season. JB Smitty, you guys know how it is. You never know what you're getting.
Bama lost to Florida State. Like,
exactly. But that Bama team who lost to Florida State is a different Bama team than where they are now.
Right.
And what I'm looking for as a committee, and the committee's so fucked up, man. You got these old guys going 6, 7. Like, these are the guys we're letting the future of the college football playoffs run. But when I look at a playoff team, I want to look at a team that's gradually increased peak over the season.
Yeah.
Miami kind of went on a roller coaster. They're a good team, but they went like this. They kind of went like this, kind of a little bumpy. Then they're starting to peak now. Notre Dame went 0-2. Everybody's like, oh, get Marcus Freeman out of there. And then they just put belt to ass the last 10 games on everybody they faced. Yeah. They took out USC. They ended their playoff dreams. They took out Pittsburgh. They ended their playoff dreams. There has to be some type of stamp with Notre Dame. Yes, I understand they're independent. They don't have a conference to play in. But the body of work in their resume, the only reason you're thinking about putting Miami in the playoffs is because they beat Notre Dame. That's their only credible win. So that should.
Well, they got 4 top 25s though. So to compare that to Notre Dame's, that's the problem. That's the other outlier for me, because they actually do have 4 top 25 wins, more than anyone else on that in consideration regarding getting in. So
let me ask y'all this real quick though. Does when you lose matter? Like how much does that matter?
Oh, 100. You cannot lose in October and November, right? If you lose in September, cool. I understand it's early season. But when you start losing, and that's the thing with Miami, is the Louisville loss and the SMU loss were so ugly. They could have won the ball. They could have ran the ball against SMU and won that game in overtime. Mario decided to get fancy, and they throw it. They pick it off. SMU comes back. And the thing about SMU that was so disrespectful that game, they didn't immediately kick the field goal when they turned over the ball in overtime. They scored. They ran a full drive in overtime to go punch it in and show you that we're going to disrespect you. We're going to score a touchdown. We're just not going to walk away with a field goal. That's disrespectful to me.
Yeah.
I don't like if it's a 12-team playoff, I'm just back to the original 4-team playoff.
Yes.
It should be the 12 teams. I don't want to see Tulane, no disrespect to Shaun King, get in the playoffs, Smitty, over a Bama, Texas, or Vanderbilt. I'm going to be honest, because we could have 2 mid-majors in the college football playoff and 2 SEC teams who we said schedule harder opponents. Well, guess what? Oh, Texas went to Ohio State, the only team that had the nuts to do that. Do they have a bad loss to Florida? Yes. But they also have to play in the gauntlet. So, I'm trying to figure out, if that doesn't matter, what are we doing? Because, I don't want to see fucking Tulane play with a lame duck head coach.
Yep.
And James Madison with a lame duck head coach.
Right.
In the playoff. To me, it doesn't make sense. I'd rather see the lower echelon SEC team, who I know can give any of these teams a fight on any given week.
I'm with you. And the way Texas to me has been looking at the end of the season, I'm not gonna lie, my eyes work. To me, they're a top 12 team. I think Texas. I would have Texas above Miami, but I get it. They're 9-3. I get what the record says, but I think if Texas and Miami play, I like Texas right now.
See, the problem we're going to have is it's going to be the sex appeal to Braiden's point, in my opinion. If Bama loses and they say Bama still has a resume to stay in because they played in this title game and they beat Georgia already, they're going to tipsy-turvy these couple guys right here at 10, 11, 12, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's going to push BYU out, or it's going to move and jostle some shit here where you're going to be like, all right, are we putting Texas in over BYU, over Notre Dame, over or Miami, over because they travel? See, Notre Dame travels in the TV money. They want to keep Notre Dame in this fucking thing as much as so does Miami, though. So I'm trying to figure out how they do it. And I can see BYU getting fucked on this thing. And I think it's fucked.
What happens if BYU loses, though? I know Breiden earlier said he feels like
he thinks they should be in regardless. Yeah.
I'm not punishing BYU this week, even if they lose in whatever sorts of form of fashion, because I'm not punishing a team for losing in the conference championship game.
Well, the other team's sitting there.
What the knock on BYU was, they were independent for a long time. They didn't have a conference. So what do? They joined the Big 12. They went 11-1. They lost on the road to a really good Texas Tech team, and that Texas Tech team will surprise a lot of people in the playoffs. So I won't at all punish them for losing this week. No, not.
Do you guys think the committee will be thinking the same way? That's my question. Like, I hear what you're saying, but are they? If BYU loses by 20 points, just this as an example, y'all really think they're gonna just keep them in there above a Texas team with Arch Manning? And I'm thinking about ticket sale. I'm thinking about just the whole business of college football. Y'all think they're gonna really keep them in if they go out there and get built to ass?
Yeah, I do. Because at some point your regular season, your schedule has to matter on how you win, who you win against, who you beat. Like, it has to matter. BYU went on the road. They were down against Iowa State. They won. Like, they came back. Yeah. They put belt to ass against Cincinnati. They beat Utah in the Holy War. These schedules have to matter on who you play during the regular season. Otherwise, we're going to see teams like Bama, like how they did yesterday, reschedule the home and home series with whatever small school that was. I didn't even know who it was, right? But it's crazy how flawed it is, JB, because I talked about it. When there was a 14 playoff, 5 and 6 were never happy. Nope. We should be in. Our schedule mattered.
13's not happy now. Yep.
When you have 12 teams, 13 and 14, Texas.
And when you have 16, Breiden, and 17's pissed.
16, 17, 18 are going to be. Why do we? So you kind of flawed the system by always having the last two who are not in feel like they're left out. Either you go back to the BCS format or you go back to a 14 playoff, but adding more teams is just not going to be good.
No,
I always thought 8 was the perfect number. I thought 12 was a little too much. 4, I think it was enough. I think 8
4 is it. That's it. 4 is it. I'm tired of giving awards out, Smitty. I hate this award. Everybody gets an award shit. That's all they're doing it for. Like, Smitty, the way it's traveling right now, and I know Breiden can attest to it by knowing what's going on behind those closed doors. The way it's moving, I got to pay a coach to leave $100 million. I got to build a $200 million facility, and then I got to hire a new staff and pay them over $100 million. How many schools can do that on planet Earth? 5, 6, maybe? So we're asking all the other schools out of 131 to play in a 12-team playoff or maybe 16 and compete versus those 4 or 5 teams, blue bloods, true blue blood. Now blue blood has been redefined. Blue blood now is who has the resources and dollars to not only get a $20+ million NIL capital, but also hire and fire coaches after 2 years if they don't win it all. Like, that's where we are right now. There's 4 or 5 schools that can do that. And so I want to see fucking Liberty play fucking Alabama in round 1. Come on, man. We got to stop this shit. I'm just telling you, it's getting worse. And they're going to have 16. We're going to have 24. We're going to have fucking 32. It's basketball. Like, I don't know. And we can talk about all that. Last thing on this college football playoff, Breiden. How important, if you keep Florida State out 2 years ago because their quarterback got hurt on an undefeated team, how different is that than this Ole Miss situation, losing Lane Kiffin? Because the problem is it's in the literature. So the literature says something dramatic happens to a key player or coach we can drop you. They actually raised Ole Miss. I think they have some sort of feel-good story behind this one. But right here are the rules, Smitty. Other relevant factors are losing a coach or a player. So, obviously, we saw that in 23 of Florida State. We had Kirk Herbstreit on here. He took a lot of heat, obviously, for that. We had him on the show that day. I'm trying to figure out, do you knock Ole Miss for losing their coach, or now is it a save by grace that Charlie Weiss is now back in Oxford to try to save this for the committee?
No, you don't knock Ole Miss, regardless if Lane Kiffin is there coaching or if not. What people fail to realize about the Florida State situation is you lost Jordan Travis. When you lose a quarterback is one of the most important pieces on a football team. You cannot play a game without a quarterback. When I look at a team going into the playoffs, if they don't have a quarterback, similar to Oklahoma, I'm not going to put them in the playoffs, right? When I look at Ole Miss, yes, Lane Kiffin did lead. Lane Kiffin was the magician who made things go, spot the ball. We all know what Lane Kiffin's about. But they still have Keywan Lacey. They still got Trinidad Chambliss. They got all the pieces they have. Nobody left. Nobody opted out. Nobody hit the transfer portal and said, hey, I'm going to LSU. The Ole Miss team itself is still intact. While having a coaching change is impactful, if the players, the talent on the field is still there, you should not punish them. Totally different situation from Florida State. You lose your quarterback, okay, well, you can't just play defense for 60 minutes in the playoffs, in a 14 playoffs. It's two different ball games.
And there's no sex appeal,
No, and then they went and got belt to ass the next week against Georgia. So
that's ruined them since.
And so right now, and I'd use this whole situation to apply it to Oklahoma. And no offense to John Mateer, right? I don't think people might see me insult him a little bit or throw knock on the kid for not being a good quarterback. But I'm just not gonna put Oklahoma in because they just can't play offense, right? Half of the way they've played this year have been trick plays, gimmick plays. Like it's horrendous. I just want to if you ever seen that Bird Box show where they do this with their eyes and they make you but you got to be this is how I feel. Like when I watch John Mateer play quarterback, you have I got to do this.
But no offense, though. But no offense.
But no offense. No offense. I think he's a great kid, but I can't watch him play quarterback.
He said, he might have started World War III, but no offense.
No offense.
Let's ask this collective question, and I'm talking for the globe. Have we had enough Diego Pavia?
You saw what I said yesterday.
I mean, listen, I'm gonna macro this question now, Smitty. Follow me here. Have we had enough of him? But goes back to Florida State losing their quarterback and not getting in the playoff. How important is the quarterback position when you come up to the selection committee on Sunday and say, this matters, these guys should be in? Is Arch Manning good enough to put them in the college football playoffs?
I'm going to say.
To Braiden's point, is Mateer good enough? You know what I'm saying? I think the quarterback position has to be weighed by this committee. But Smitty, it can't be weighed when you have fucking Condoleezza Rice on the committee. It can't be weighed when you have 9 out of 11 people never fucking played football. So, see, that's the problem. When you have Theo Vaughn smashing his mama, we can't do this.